my name's Bree, and today I will be talking to you about foreshadowing. Now, foreshadowing is used as a literary device by authors, directors, and screenwriters as a way of giving the audience a little hint about what may happen as the movie, story, whatever progresses to either the protagonist, background character, or even just to the story itself. Now, this literary device is used mostly to create tension for the audience. And there are a few ways that directors can go about doing this. They can use very subtle clues like, props in the background and things that a character might say. But there are other ways to introduce foreshadowing into your movie, and this could be just blatant, in your face, this is what's going to happen. And most people don't realize that that's foreshadowing because it happens so fast. So I will be talking about two different kinds of foreshadowing, the blatant and the subtle, with a few movies. So I'll be talking about A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, and the best use of foreshadowing that, personally, I believe, in any movie is The Usual Suspects. So I've got a few clips that I'm going to show you now that just shows the difference between the two types of foreshadowing, so the blatant and the subtle. So let's just jump right into those, shall we? So these first two clips that I'll be showing you today are from Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, and they depict the character Aunt Josephine. And in the film, Aunt Josephine is seen as having quite irrational fears. And this first clip will show some of the fears that she has. So we'll just watch that now.
Might explode. Oh, children, I must ask you not to use any of the doorknobs in the house. Just push on one of the door and it'll open. Why? Well, I'm always afraid that the doorknobs will shatter into a million tiny pieces, and one of them will hit my eye. Elmo is not a word. I can see that I'm going to have to teach her proper English. Grammar is the greatest joy in life, don't you find? Oh, yeah, perfect, nice hot soup. Actually, it's chilled cucumber soup. I never cook anything hot. I'm afraid that the stove will burst into flames. Where's your brother? Kitchen. Charles! What are you doing? Napkins? Oh, napkins are here. Come away from the fridge. If it falls, it'll crush you flat. Oh.
So from that first clip, you can see that Aunt Josephine kind of comes off as a bit crazy, for lack of a better word, and has a lot of irrational fears regarding everyday objects in the house, like doorknobs, the stove, the fridge. So this is the second clip from Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, and this is the perfect example of blatant foreshadowing. So foreshadowing that's very obvious to the audience. So through watching both clips next to each other, you can see even from the character violence reaction that this foreshadowing is so blatant, so obvious that it's almost inconceivable how it came true. And the next clip is from Hot Fuzz by Edgar Wright, and this is another example of blatant foreshadowing within a movie. This next clip is a short clip from Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead. Now, this is a pub scene with the main protagonists, Ed and Shaun has just been dumped by his girlfriend Liz, and Ed has come up with a plan of how to cheer him up. Now, this scene contains very, very subtle foreshadowing. So I'll play the scene for you now, and then we'll talk about why this is an important scene afterwards.
You know what we should do tomorrow? Keep drinking. Have a Bloody Mary first thing. Have a bite of King's Head, couple of the little princess. We'll stagger back in. Back at the bar for shots. How's that for a slice of fried gold? No.
Now, that seems like a very average sort of night, listing a few pubs where you want to drink at. And if you're just a regular audience member, or someone who hasn't seen the movie before, or even someone who has seen the movie before, this line might just go straight over your head and you might not think anything of it. And I have a visual aid to help me explain this. This is an extremely important piece of foreshadowing for the movies. Because this movie takes place in England where the zombie apocalypse has started. And it details Ed and Shaun trying to survive. So, with their plan, they say they will have a Bloody Mary first thing. Now, the first zombie they come across has a name tag that shows that her name is actually Mary. So that's really interesting for the first line. For the second line, have a bite at the King's Head. This character being portrayed as being bitten is Shaun's stepfather, also known as the head of the family. So that's another very interesting piece of foreshadowing. And then we have the couple at the Little Princess. This is Liz, who is Shaun's ex-girlfriend, and her roommates, who are a couple. And Liz is Shaun's princess. So they go to Liz's to rescue her from the zombies and the couple as well. Then they'll stagger back to the pub where they are, which is the Winchester. And in this particular scene, they all had to pretend to be zombies to move through the crowd of zombies undetected. So they all acted like zombies and kind of staggered their way through. And the final part of the plan, bang shots back at the bar for shots, is a piece of foreshadowing detailing how the final fight in the movie takes place at the very same bar where the movie began. So everything that they've listed as their plan is everything that happens in order in the film. So that is a great example of very subtle foreshadowing used by a director. This is the last clip that I will be showing as an example for foreshadowing, and this is taken from the movie The Usual Suspects. Now, personally for me, I find The Usual Suspects is a fantastic movie in regards to foreshadowing, because it details a crippled suspect who recounts an intricate story full of little details about the infamous Kaiser Soze, who is the top tier villain, antagonist of this entire movie. And he adds in these little details that, as an audience member, kind of are insignificant. You feel they're insignificant until we get to the ending. So this clip is the ending of The Usual Suspects. So, I mean, it's been out for a few years, but spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
Nothing. Yeah, you're still out.
Yeah, but it's just makes sense when you look at it right. You gotta like stand back from it, you know. You want to see a real horror show? See my garage.
Tell me every
You know,
last
back when I was in that barbershop quartet in Skokie, Illinois, where's your head, Agent Kuyan?
What we need to do is think. Think back.
I'm sure you've heard many tall tales.
Rick's modern.
This isn't right.
I just want to hear every last
It's all
detail.
there. And I'm telling it straight, I swear. Some guy in California, his name is Redfoot.
The gift from Mr. Soze.
Talk to me, Wortels. What about Redfoot?
Mr. Redfoot knew nothing. Used in pawns.
Big, fat guy. I mean, like orca fat.
Myths and legends have come.
Kobayashi. I've never seen him. Back when I was picking beans in Guatemala, we used to make fresh coffee.
I know you thought he was a good man.
I know he was good.
And tell me every last detail.
Strangest thing.
How do you shoot the devil in the back?
This offer is protected from up on high by the prince. And tell me every
What
last
about a
detail.
pretzel, man? What's your story?
There was a lawyer.
What lawyer, Verbal?
I'm Mr. Kobayashi.
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 Tell me every last detail.
I work for Kaiser Soze.
Convince me. Convince me. Convince me. Every creep and scumbag that works the street for a living will know the name of Verbal Kent. The cripple, did you see him? The cripple, which way did he go?
Oh, he went out that way.
I know you know something. I know you're not telling me. Say something. I'm smarter than you, and I'm gonna find out what I want to know, whether you like it or not.
To a cop, the explanation is never that.
You know what I'm getting at,
It's always
Verbal, the truth. Come on,
There's
Verbal.
no
Who do you think
mystery
it's
to the street, no arch criminals at all.
Somebody with power.
There was
somebody who was capable of tracking us to New York.
It's Kaiser Soze. You think a guy like that is close to getting caught and sticks his head out?
You get no Kaiser me.
Because you're stupid, Verbal. Because you're
Kaiser
crippled.
Soze. What I want to know is who's the gimp.
You know the whole fucking time.
If he comes up for any of those things, get rid of me. I'm sure Keaton is dead.
I can't feel my legs. Kaiser.
First thing I learned on the job, you know what it was? How to spot a murderer.
Tell me you got the crippled there from New York.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kaiser Soze.
Who?
After that, my guess is you'll never hear from him again.
Now that was a bit of a long clip, but it is, for me, the perfect example of foreshadowing throughout an entire film, because every detail that Verbal Kint says to the detective, every little detail he has pieced together and taken facts from around the room. So he saw that he was in a quartet in Skokie, Illinois, because the name of the company that the corkboard was produced from was Quartet, and it was made in Skokie, Illinois. And to me, that is just really clever, and a very clever way of showing how an antagonist of a movie is able to get away, and where the protagonists don't really win. So those few clips that I demonstrated throughout this video were just some examples that I found of the use of foreshadowing in different ways. So it could be very, very subtle, as in as it was in Shaun of the Dead, by just having a little bit of dialogue that would fly over the heads of most, if not all, audience members. It could also be used as a major plot device, like it was in The Usual Suspects, because without the use of the foreshadowing throughout the entire movie, we would never know that Kevin Spacey's character was Kaiser Soze, the perpetrator of all the major crimes that happened within the movie. Or it could just be fun, in your face, and kind of obvious, like it was in Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events, as portrayed by Aunt Josephine's fears. And then when Hurricane Herman starts to destroy the house, her fears are coming true in almost unbelievable ways, which was demonstrated when the character Violet out loud said, "No way," as in, this cannot actually be happening. But I hope you found this video informative and interesting and possibly even a little entertaining. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you